Happy Halloween! Well, I haven't done one of these in quite a long time. Not doing anything for Halloween, but I do have black nails, so I thought that was pretty cool. Cool to share on YouTube. And, well, uh, a random memory popped into my head today, and it was not a memory of mine. And it's not even someone that I knew personally, but it's a story that my mom told me about someone who applied for a job. Well, actually, they didn't apply for the job, they were recommended for this position. And in the company where she used to work by someone else, not by her, but a colleague of hers. So this person put their friend, okay, and we're going to get back to why I did this, put their friend forward for a job, like a good job, like a quite a senior position, and they had to fly this person in from abroad for the interview, and then obviously fly them back to where they came from, and it was just for the interview, just to to see how things went. And for whatever reason, that person didn't get the job, and so their friend who like set the thing up for them spoke to them that look, I don't even know the person's name, so that's why I'm using so many pronouns. So the friend, let's call the friend Bob, okay, got Larry an interview at the company that my mom used to work at, and they had to fly Larry in. So when everything was done, when Larry went back home, because it was all like I don't know, a 48-hour trip or whatever, he didn't get the job, and so Bob called Larry to Bob, being Larry's friend, called him to reprimand him and to tell him that he like fucked up big time and that's why he didn't get the job. And how could he have put Bob's reputation on the line by turning up and doing such a terrible job and all of this and blah, 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 blah. Okay, so this is why I was doing this for the friend thing, because first and foremost, that's not a friend. A friend does not do that. Okay. Now, the tragedy here is that this man, I don't know, and I don't know his name. Well, he killed himself. And I don't know why this popped into my head today. Maybe because it's Halloween, maybe because the veil is thin. I don't know. But it's a message that I wanted to share today, that just because you don't do well at something, or just because you have a perceived like failure, that doesn't mean that you are a failure. Like, things don't go right in life. That's the way it is. Like, if you set yourself up to believe that if everything goes well, then that means you are a success. Well, you'll never be a success, because you'll always find fault in what you've done, or someone else will find fault in what you've done, and then you'll not think well of yourself, maybe to the extent where you have really, really negative thoughts about yourself. And so, like, you have to control the narrative in your own mind about who and what you are. And first and foremost, and this applies to every single human person on this planet and every animal as well. I've got my little cat Nelly here stretching. Like, all living, this applies to all life, all living life. What we are is love. We're made of love. That's what we are. And all these, negative thoughts, negative ideas, and stuff like that, that's just called stankin' thankin'. And you want to get rid of that. You want to stop yourself as soon as any negative thought comes into your mind, whether it's fear based, whether it's hateful, whether it's towards yourself, whether it's towards other people. It really doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter whether it's directed at yourself, whether it's sent outward. Like, you just have to stop it in its tracks. Whatever way you can, just say, nope, not today, not today, Satan, not today. You stop it, send yourself some love, or the other person some love, or whatever it is. And a really good phrase to say, like, if you, for example, realize that you've been casting quite a bit of judgment on someone or whatever it is without realizing it, and then all of a sudden you become conscious and aware of that, just say, like, you don't have to say it to them. You don't even need to tell them I've been judging you harshly or anything. You just say it, like, you just stop that flow of negativity by just saying within yourself, say, I'm sorry, forgive me, thank you, I love you. That's all you have to do. Okay, and that's going to clear away that accidental negative intention you've sent their way. And if you do it to yourself, you can also say it to yourself. Just ask yourself for forgiveness for something that you've done, some, perceived error or whatever it is. Because at the end of the day, we're all made of love. That's the only thing that we're made out of. And it doesn't matter whether something's not gone the way you thought it would. And many times closed doors are closed for a reason. It's because there's some, if you may think that, oh, like this, that was a great opportunity for me, but if the door closed, it really wasn't a good opportunity for you. It's not something that you missed. It's something that was kept from you, probably for good reason. Maybe you would have been quite unhappy there. Maybe it wasn't exactly what you thought it was going to be. Like, you have to trust that, and also believe and trust that there isn't just one opportunity for you. Like, one door closes today, like something opens up for you tomorrow or after tomorrow, or maybe it's next year. Maybe you have to go through a whole goddamn season. But at the end of the day, like, there isn't only just the one thing for you, and if something's meant for you, then it'll come back around again for sure, 100%. Like, maybe a year later, you get a phone call and someone will go, that position is, it was filled, but now it's reopened again if we're talking about a job or whatever. So guess what? Like, you were a really good candidate at the time, but, we just had someone else lined up and, we'd seen them more times, or it was easier to get them, or whatever it could have been. I don't know. And you'll come to find that anybody who says like really shitty things to you, like Bob in this scenario, was just a fucking asshole. And you can't take things that assholes say on board. Like, it's not the truth. The truth is love. In any situation that you're in life, the truth is love. It's not hate, it's not fear, it's not anger, it's not contempt, it's not maliciousness, it's not aggression, it's not like any of those things. And the truth of the matter is, like, if Bob was so shitty to Larry, his friend, that's not a reflection on who and what Larry is. That's a reflection on who and what Bob is. Bob was a hateful person. Like, that's not a cool thing to do to anyone, let alone your friend. You just let someone down gently. Just say, listen, I'm sorry it didn't work out. I'm really sorry. We flew you all the way out here, and it just didn't work out. But I mean, don't give up on the search, or maybe if something else comes up, I'll let you know, or whatever it is. That would have been the kind thing to say. But this guy didn't have kind things to say. So, I mean, definitely, if someone is saying unkind things to you, do not take those things on board. They're not who you are. It's not you. That's just, it's just nothing. It isn't a thing, Of course, it's going to hurt your feelings, but you can label your feelings. You can just say, oh, well, my feelings are hurt right now. Give them a name. Give your feelings a name and a voice, and do something about it. Make yourself feel better, and just do your best not to hold on to those shitty words. Because words really do hurt, and sometimes the absence of words also really hurts. If someone's saying fucking nothing to you when they really should be saying something, that also really hurts too. But again, that's not a reflection on you. You didn't do anything wrong. It just was what it was, and that person could have behaved better, but they didn't. So just because they made a choice to behave in a terrible fucking way, that doesn't reflect on you. That's not your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. And I guess, yeah, like, it's important, really important to note that not everybody in this life has your back. So you really want to be careful about, whose words you're taking on board. Are you taking on board someone's words who does not have your back? Because Bob didn't have Larry's back, even though he may have set this interview up for him. He may have even known that position was going to be filled by someone else. He could have just set this thing up just to fuck with him. Sometimes people do that. Like, again, that's not a reflection on you. You didn't do anything wrong. Like, you took someone's gesture at face value, thinking it was a kind gesture, but clearly it was not a kind gesture in this example. And there are many instances in life where people just don't do the right thing, and they've done that intentionally. Of course, there are many other instances where people don't do the right thing and it was not intentional to hurt you. But in other instances, people sometimes do a terrible thing to hurt you on purpose, and it's important to take note of that and to not think that you've done something wrong. It's just to acknowledge that person's a fucking asshole, and that's it. Like, okay, well, I got a little trip and I got to see somewhere else or whatever it was. And, you move on with your day and move on with your life. And much, much better things will come to you if you remember who you are. Remember that you are made of love and nothing can ever change that. The only thing that can change that is your own stankin' thinking, your own thoughts that can really bring you down. You mustn't allow that. You must not allow that. Don't allow anybody to change your vibe and lower it. Don't allow anybody to, make you feel bad about something that you had no control over. Don't allow anybody to like bring you down when you're already down, like in this example, like, he would have already felt like quite bad about it. And a normal person would know that. A normal person with empathy and kindness in their heart would know, well, this person's not doing well right now. Like, I'm not going to make it worse for them by, saying shitty things. Maybe he really didn't do well in the interview. So what? Like, you don't need to point that out. You don't need to say that. You know what I mean? Like, um, whenever you do have a negative criticism of something, you have to ask yourself, there's a few questions that you ask yourself when it comes to negative things to say to people. One of them is, does this need to be said? Okay, so you evaluate, like you stop and think before you fucking say something. Does this need to be said? That's the first question. The second question is, does this need to be said by me? Okay, because we don't always have to comment on other people's actions. You don't always have to make a goddamn comment about things. Like, you can just think, well, yeah, I don't agree with this, but I don't think it needs to be said by me. Someone else may say it, or maybe we can just let this thing slide. And then another question to ask yourself is this kind? And is this necessary? Is it kind? You can give out negative criticism without being unkind. That's actually an option. It's actually an option in life. And it's also important to note that it's an option, if you're on the receiving end, to think to yourself, well, if I am receiving negative criticism, is it being delivered in a kind way? And if it's not being delivered in a kind way, ask yourself, why am I continuing to deal with somebody who talks to me like this? I really shouldn't be. Life's too short to be brought down by other people's bullshit. And, other people's bullshit doesn't have anything to do with you. It's not even about you. Like, when somebody's saying terrible things to you, it's not about you. They're just repeating like their own thoughts, but instead of processing themselves, they're just like spewing them out and projecting them onto you as though it's your fault that they feel a certain way, or as though, you're the reason that, these thoughts appeared in their mind. You're not. The thoughts appeared in their mind because those kind of thoughts are always in their mind, and they're always looking for an outlet for them, but not in a healthy way. So that's just a couple of things to take note of on this day, on All Hallows Eve. And I wish you well. If you're partying, please enjoy yourself, because I'm not. Have a great fucking time. And yeah, let me know in the comments what you think. And yeah, I think, it's important to note that just a final thought here is that failure is a word that we use, right? Like, we use it to mean like the opposite of success, and like, so we hold success in like a really high esteem, and we hold failure in such a low place, like, oh, it's the worst fucking thing. But at the end of the day, like, there's no successful person that's never taken a couple of L's. There's no successful relationship that hasn't had its ups and downs. Like, there's nothing that hasn't had its ups and downs. There's no such thing as win, 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 all the way up to the top. I mean, look at anybody. Like, anybody who's done really well at anything has more than a few stories about setbacks, and some of them are incredibly major setbacks. So, you just gotta, pick yourself up and try again. First you don't succeed. So that's about it. That's what I got to say. Thank you. Good night. Bye.